The rain fell in delicate sheets, cloaking the streets of Los Angeles in a glistening veil. Neon signs from late-night diners flickered against the slick pavement, their reflections stretching like ghosts across the asphalt. The occasional car sped past, headlights cutting through the misty air. Under the awning of a boarded-up bookstore, a stray dog curled into itself, its fur matted and damp, ribs faintly visible beneath a coat dulled by dirt and neglect. It trembled, ears twitching at every passing sound, too exhausted to flee. A man in a charcoal gray hoodie walked at an easy pace, hands tucked into his pockets. His face was shadowed beneath the brim of a worn baseball cap, but there was something deliberate about his movements, an observant stillness in the way his eyes scanned his surroundings. Most pedestrians would have passed him by without a second glance, but beneath the simple attire, his presence carried an unmistakable gravity. As he neared the alcove, the man slowed, his gaze settling on the dog. Without hesitation, he crouched, setting a paper bag beside him. The crinkle of the wrapping broke the silence as he reached inside, pulling out a sandwich. The scent of grilled chicken filled the damp night air as he tore off a piece, extending it toward the wary animal. "There you go, buddy," he murmured, his voice calm, patient. The dog lifted its head slightly, nostrils flaring. It hesitated, dark eyes scanning the stranger before inching forward, hunger overpowering caution. The man remained still, letting the creature decide, until finally the dog took the offering, chewing with slow, deliberate movements as though savoring something long forgotten. A block away, a man named Ethan Kessler sat in a parked sedan, camera in hand. He adjusted his lens, fingers tightening around the grip as he captured the moment. He had been following Keanu Reeves for weeks, chasing a story, not for scandal, but for something real. And tonight, he had found it. 3 nights prior, Keanu had finished an exhausting film shoot, the weight of fatigue pressing against his bones. He had slipped onto his motorcycle, craving the quiet solitude of the open road. No destination in mind, just the steady hum of the engine and the crisp night air against his face. At a red light, his gaze wandered to an alleyway on his right. A man sat slumped against a graffiti-covered dumpster, his arms wrapped protectively around a trembling dog. The animal's fur was a deep auburn beneath the dirt, its frame thin, fragile. Something about the sight struck Keanu in a way he couldn't ignore. The light turned green, but he remained where he was. A car honked behind him, but he paid no mind. Instead, he pulled over, shutting off the engine before making his way toward the alley. "Hey," Keanu called softly. The man stirred, lifting his head. His face was worn, lined with hardship, but his eyes carried a quiet kindness. "Evening," he murmured, voice rough from the cold. Keanu crouched a few feet away. "Your dog?" The man, who introduced himself as Joel Mercer, nodded. "Yeah, found him a while back. Couldn't leave him. He's all I got now." Keanu studied the dog, taking in the way it clung to Joel's side, seeking warmth, safety. He reached into his pocket, fingers brushing against a few folded bills, but instinct told him money wasn't the answer tonight. "When's the last time you two ate?" he asked instead. Joel hesitated. "A day, maybe 2. Keanu nodded. "Wait here." He crossed the street to a food truck, ordered 2 meals, and returned within minutes, handing one to Joel. The other, he unwrapped himself, breaking it into small pieces for the dog. The animal sniffed cautiously before taking a tentative bite, then another, eating with desperate gratitude. Joel watched, his expression unreadable. "Why are you doing this?" he asked after a moment. Keanu offered a small smile. "Because someone should." The dog nudged Keanu's hand, licking the last crumbs from his fingers. Keanu chuckled, scratching behind its ears. "He likes you?" Joel noted. Keanu exhaled, a quiet warmth settling in his chest. "Yeah," he murmured. "I like him too." Joel hesitated before speaking again. "I don't know how much longer I'll be out here, but if something happens to me, could you make sure he's okay?" Keanu met his gaze, understanding the unspoken weight of the request. He nodded solemnly. "I promise." The photograph of Keanu kneeling beside the stray dog spread across the internet like wildfire. Social media overflowed with praise, headlines hailing his humility and kindness. But Keanu barely acknowledged the attention. Instead, he returned to the alleyway, another sandwich in hand, searching for a familiar face. Joel was gone. The tattered blanket remained, draped over a discarded crate. But the dog, he was still there, waiting. Keanu crouched, reaching out. "Hey, buddy." The dog whined, stepping forward, pressing into his touch. Its tail wagged, hesitant but hopeful. Keanu sighed, running a hand through his hair. He had made a promise. "You want to come with me?" The dog hesitated only a moment before taking the final step forward. Keanu scooped him up, feeling the frail body tremble slightly against his chest. The rain had stopped, leaving the city washed clean under the glow of streetlights as he carried the dog to his motorcycle. He had come looking for a quiet ride that night. Instead, he had found something far more profound. Because sometimes the smallest moments, the ones the world overlooks, hold the greatest weight.